The night my daughter asked me if we would still have a home by Christmas, I smiled and told her everything would be okay. Then I locked myself in the bathroom and cried so hard I could barely breathe. At that moment, I had only $23 in my bank account, an overdue rent notice sitting on the kitchen table, and a refrigerator that looked emptier every time I opened it. I was a single parent trying to raise my 8-year-old daughter alone, and despite everything I told her, I had no idea how I was going to make it through the next week. People often talk about strength as if it is something dramatic and heroic. They imagine brave speeches and unforgettable moments, but real strength is much quieter. Sometimes it is getting out of bed when you are exhausted. Sometimes it is skipping dinner so your child can eat a little more. Sometimes it is smiling when your heart is breaking. My name is Olivia Carter, and for years, strength was all I had. 3 years earlier, my life had looked completely different. I had a husband, a small house, and dreams for the future. We were not wealthy, but we were comfortable. We talked about family vacations, saving for our daughter's education, and growing old together. Then one ordinary Tuesday changed everything. My husband came home, sat across from me at the kitchen table, and quietly told me he was no longer happy. At first, I thought we could fix things. Every marriage has difficult moments. But then he packed a suitcase. 3 weeks later, he was gone. Just like that, the life I thought I knew disappeared. The hardest part was not losing my husband. It was watching my daughter Emma lose her father. Every night she asked when he was coming home. Every night I struggled to answer. Eventually, she stopped asking. Somehow that hurt even more. The divorce left me with most of the responsibilities and very little financial support. I worked as a receptionist at a medical office, earning enough to survive, but never enough to get ahead. Every month felt like a battle between rent, groceries, utility bills, school supplies, and unexpected expenses. Somehow, I always managed. Then things became even worse. The medical office where I worked was sold to a larger company. They reorganized everything and eliminated several positions. Mine was one of them. I still remember holding the termination letter in my shaking hands. The drive home felt endless. The only thought running through my mind was, what am I going to do? When I walked through the front door, Emma ran toward me holding a drawing she had made at school. It showed the two of us holding hands under a bright yellow sun. Above our heads she had written, "Best team ever." I hugged her tightly and forced a smile. That night, after she fell asleep, I spent hours searching for jobs. Weeks passed. I sent applications everywhere. Some employers never responded. Others sent rejection emails. My savings disappeared quickly, and every morning I woke up with a knot in my stomach. One afternoon, Emma brought home a permission slip for a school field trip. The cost was only $30, but at that moment it felt impossible. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the paper for nearly an hour. How could I tell my daughter she could not go because we did not have enough money? That night, I sold an old necklace my grandmother had given me years earlier. The next morning, I handed Emma the signed permission slip. The joy on her face made every sacrifice worth it. The following months became the hardest period of my life. I worked temporary jobs, delivered groceries, cleaned houses, and babysat on weekends. Some nights I slept only a few hours. Other nights I stayed awake worrying about bills. I was exhausted all the time, but every morning I got up and did it again because Emma needed me. Children notice more than adults realize. One evening, I found Emma sitting at the kitchen table counting coins from her piggy bank. When I asked what she was doing, she looked up and said, "I'm helping." Then she pushed the coins toward me and said, "I could use them if we needed money." My heart shattered. She knew we were struggling. That night, after Emma went to bed, I sat alone in the dark living room and cried. I felt like I had failed her. Parents are supposed to protect their children from worry, yet somehow my little girl was trying to protect me. The next morning, I decided something had to change. I stopped focusing on everything I could not control and focused on what I could. I updated my resume again, contacted former co-workers, attended networking events, and applied for every opportunity I could find. I refused to give up. A few weeks later, I received a call from a local insurance company. They needed an administrative assistant. The pay was not amazing, but it was steady and came with benefits. I practically ran to the interview. 3 days later, they offered me the job. I sat in my car and cried tears of relief. For the first time in months, I felt hope. Life did not magically become easy. Money was still tight and challenges continued to appear. But we were finally moving forward. Then another obstacle arrived. Emma became seriously ill one winter. It was not life-threatening, but it required several doctor visits and medications. I had recently started my new job and had very little paid leave available. Every missed day of work meant less income. Every medical bill created more pressure. One night, while sitting beside Emma's bed as she slept, I looked at her face and realized something important. Parents do not keep going because they are fearless. They keep going because love gives them no other choice. Years passed and slowly our lives improved. I earned promotions, our financial situation became more stable, and the constant fear began to fade. Emma grew into a kind, intelligent, and hardworking young woman. During her senior year of high school, she came home carrying an envelope. Her hands were shaking as she handed it to me. It was an acceptance letter from her dream university, along with a scholarship. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then we both burst into tears. We stood there in the kitchen holding each other while years of sacrifice and struggle washed over us. Later that evening, Emma said something I will never forget. She told me that her friends often talked about how lucky they were because of what their parents had given them. Then she smiled and said, "I'm lucky because of what you never gave up on." I could not speak. Tears filled my eyes because in that moment, I realized success is not always measured by money, careers, or possessions. Sometimes success is raising a good person despite impossible circumstances. Sometimes success is simply surviving long enough to see things get better. A few years later, I watched Emma walk across a college graduation stage. As she accepted her diploma, I thought about every difficult moment that had brought us there. The overdue bills, the sleepless nights, the extra jobs, the sacrifices, and the fears. Every struggle had mattered. Every sacrifice had been worth it. Today, when people ask me how single parents do it, I simply smile. The truth is that most of us do not know. We wake up every morning and keep going because someone depends on us. We keep moving forward because love is stronger than exhaustion, stronger than fear, and stronger than hardship. Looking back now, I do not remember every bill I paid or every obstacle I faced. I remember Emma's laughter. I remember the hugs, the small victories, and the moments that reminded me why I could never quit. The struggle of a single parent is real. It is exhausting, painful, and often lonely, but it is also filled with courage, resilience, and a love powerful enough to carry a family through the darkest days. And sometimes, that love is enough to turn even the hardest story into a beautiful ending. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little hope today. Have you ever seen a parent make incredible sacrifices for their family? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, no matter how difficult life becomes, love and determination can carry us further than we ever imagine. See you in the next story.